All right, let's talk about this, Alan, a film you and I have both seen. This is a science fiction movie called The Pod Generation. It stars Amelia Clarke and
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Chiwetel Ejiofor. It's a science fiction movie. Alan, tell us about The Pod Generation.
All right, The Pod Generation. You need to move things around?
Just tell us about
The Pod Generation. This is science fiction. This is, to me, the return of the science fiction that I loved as a child and a growing adult. Basically, the story is Amelia Clarke's character. She is working at a company, a marketing company for kind of a futuristic medical company, and she does the marketing for them. And she's rising in the ranks, and so the boss says, "Hey, we're gonna give you these promotions, but we need to make sure that you're not gonna have children, or that children is not going to derail your career." And they said, "But good news is we have a new product called the pod, and in this pod you can grow a baby." And so she and the Chiwetel Ejiofor's character can grow a baby in this pod, and she can continue her career. Doing what she does. On the other side, there's Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, who is a botanist. He works as a professor of botany in this world where nature is no longer needed. And so, all the homes have nature pods, so you can go in and feel the stimulation of nature. But he's trying to return things back to the way things were, back to nature. And so one day he decides he's going to take his class on a field trip to the forest, where they can eat actual fruit, and all the kids are afraid of the actual fruit. So what happens is, as this baby is growing in the pod, questions start to occur. Ultimately, what this movie is the science fiction that I've grown up with. Twilight Zone, Star Trek, where it takes this idea of an aspect of humanity and just begins to ask questions about it. Here, a lot of it is about AI, just because we can do things, should we actually be doing it? Everything in this, just because we can synthesize nature, the question is, should we do it? We are now making meat in labs. Is this a direction we really want to go as a society? We are now eradicating all viruses and bacteria. Is this what we should be doing? And this question is constantly being asked from the very first frame to the final frame. Yeah, and it's not, there are a lot of women's issues brought up here. The politicization of the uterus, it really hits hard on whether that, is that really the right direction we need to go down? And so, when I watch Twilight Zone, when I watch Star Trek, especially The Next Generation, it was always some aspect of humanity that would be in question. And then me and my friends who were watching would just sit back after the episode was over and talk about it. This is one of those movies. And this is why I love this movie. And this is why I'm kind of on the Pod Generation bandwagon now. Go out and see this movie and just let it ask you a bunch of questions and come up with your own conclusions. I have an interview with the director, Sophie Barthus, on the Film Threat interview channel. And we talk about this issue in depth of what is the place of science fiction in the world today, and why we've lost that. Someone brought up Soylent Green. We brought up Soylent Green in our conversation, and ultimately that the question that she asks is, because technology can replace nature, does that mean we should really be doing it? And so I am very high on this movie. It's an indie film. It really needs a good theatrical boost this weekend. So if you are a fan of science fiction, go out and see this movie. That's a high recommendation on my part.
I'm going to just echo what you just said. High recommendation for The Pod Generation. Love Amelia Clarke in this film. It might be the best thing I've seen her in since Game of Thrones. I really did not like her in Secret Invasion. I thought she was terrible, and a lot of it goes.
Everyone was terrible in Secret Invasion.
Everyone was terrible in Secret Invasion, but the point is that this shows you how important a good script is, right? Here, given a good script, given good material, she is completely different from the character she plays in Game of Thrones and really excels at this.
Let me say this about Emilia Clarke, because this is in the interview. But one of the questions I asked the director was, how hard is it to get science fiction made as a movie? And she says it's very difficult. And she said that the reason this movie got made was because Emilia Clarke read the script and went to bat for it. And that's how the movie got made. And this is not, it's weird, but you may sense that there's feminist tones in it. There are, but it's not in the way that you think it's gonna. It's a very healthy look at feminism.
Yes, here's what I'll also say about this movie. You think maybe from the premise that this is going to be like a social commentary on, it's a social commentary on how our lives have become way too intertwined with technology. And we've lost our connection to nature. We've lost our connection to being human. What is it to be human? What is it to be human is, when a woman gives birth, and this movie very clearly states men and women. There is a fun thing where they take the pod itself, and you'll see this in the trailer, which I would recommend actually not watching the trailer. Don't watch the trailer. But one of the things you'll see in the trailer is they have these pods that look like eggs, and they have a Bjorn, so you can kind of walk around, and it's almost like you're kind of pretend pregnant. You could put it under your shirt, right? And it kind of sticks out. But her husband in the movie wears the pod, right? And there also, you see other men wearing the pod, but this movie doesn't tell you how to think. And it also very clearly, they very clearly tell you men and women. There's none of this like men can give birth kind of thing you think that the movie might make a comment on. But also it makes a comment on, without telling you what to think, it asks questions, women in the workplace, which I really love. You see Emilia Clarke's character, she wears this sort of feminized version of a suit, and you see other women there like that. She's standing at her desk on like a treadmill, which is sort of like a hamster wheel, just spinning round and round. And you see like her husband and her kind of they're having problems in their marriage where he's more in touch with nature and all this and is not really down with all this technology. They come to an understanding. They each kind of come to the middle in a sense, based on their own experiences. But I love this movie. In addition, mostly practical effects. There's some obvious digital enhancement with the setting. You see like the office building, and kind of like, it's weird how like nature is encapsulated and almost like these little like, oh, look, there's nature, like in like a little,
like a little pod. Yeah.
A little pod. There's like, oh, look, nature is right there. And they'll take these breathing apparatuses and they'll smell nature. Like, that's what nature smells like. Isn't that interesting? But it's a comment on people that are on their cell phones too much. This movie would make a great pairing, if I could say a double feature, with the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix. I love that movie Her, which is about, modern relationships and AI. This is, modern birthing, right? And hiring a surrogate. You've basically taken your parts, made a baby in a pod that you watch grow. What I love too is the detail they go about the app. There's an app that you can use. It's like they almost treat the baby like a Tamagotchi. So it's like
exactly it is.
Through the app and like, oh, you can feed the baby. It's ridiculous. I mean, the movie, I would say this, it's as much a comedy as it is a science fiction.
Yeah, she says this is definitely a satire. She
right.
It's satire.
Total satire of our every app to solve every problem. This is an app to solve your problem of having a baby. And where it ends up, you can kind of see where it's going. No spoilers. I'm not going to say anything about the third act. But it's well worth it. It's also like, it's under 2 hours. It might even be like a little over 90 minutes.
Yeah. Somewhere out there.
It just didn't feel long at any point. And it's, I really loved it. This is the kind of science fiction we need now. We need science fiction that is that satirizes how ridiculous our clown world, especially when it comes to technology, has become. It's gotten ridiculous.
I'll say this. I saw it back in Sundance, and I saw it again to do the interview. And the second viewing is just as good. It is packed. There's not a scene that goes wasted in terms of just bringing up an idea, maybe we're going the wrong direction with technology, and every scene kind of has an element to it. There's even, go see it. I don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
same
give away
here.
the entire
Yeah,
movie.
just everything from the production design to the casting
Yeah.
to even they have the woman who plays her name is Rosalie Craig. She plays sort of their I don't know, mentor. She's sort of part mentor, part salesperson, part with this company that has these pods. You see other people with pods, and they're all.
Mhm.
It's like a trendy thing. Like it's like an accessory, but it also happens to be a growing human being.
Yeah.
But the woman
Why-
Rosalie Craig who plays this, the woman who kind of sells them on getting the
Yeah.
pod. She's a
I
recurring
think it's
character.
the woman in the background there.
Oh my God, she's so good. She's so good in the film because her character is so ridiculous. She's the source of a lot of the comedy because you're
Dude,
thinking it's like she's the salesperson at the Apple store, but she's selling you a baby. You
yeah.
know?
There's a scene where everyone feels bad for the woman who has to give birth naturally,
Yeah. Like, oh,
like the way
it's
they used to do it back then. Yeah.
yeah. It's like driving a car from the 90s. Ooh, you have a Toyota Camry from 1999. Ooh, that's basically what natural birth is looked upon. It's a phenomenal film. I want to see it again, actually, and really, really enjoyed it. It's the kind of science fiction that independent films should do. It's low budget. It explores ideas, doesn't hit you over the head, and there's a lot to talk about. Like you were mentioning earlier, Twilight Zone. Every Twilight Zone is about a moral issue, and
Yeah.
this is about a moral issue.
Star Trek. Star Trek is the same thing.
Exactly. So
At least classic Star Trek, I should say.
So strong recommendation from both of us for the Pod Generation.